So what I'd like to do for the last recording here is just go over a little bit of a review. First, the tests are non-cumulative. You'll not really be asked any questions from this unit in here. I forgot what we have planned for the end of the semester, but I think you're writing up a proposal or something like that. So the test will not be cumulative in any way, shape, or form. Some basic lessons. The test will be on Tuesday. Same kind of format, 4 or 5 questions, kind of cases, problems, situations, mapping it back, summarize what it says, and then relate it back to these types of issues. We talked about why learning a foreign language is so difficult. Key reasons are what? What is co-articulation? Why would somebody who only speaks Japanese and is learning English in Japan have such a tough time coming into this classroom and understanding exactly what the heck I'm saying?
Because sometimes the speech sounds are too close together and talk.
Yeah, we talk really fast, we co-articulate. Physically, we co-articulate. Do we also have segmentation when we actually say the words, or physically, is it actually just one long acoustic stream? It's one long acoustic stream, but how are we at processing speech? Are we pretty good at this? Yeah, which has led to the argument that speech is processed in a specialized way. Chomsky kind of said there's got to be something biological about it. It can't all be Skinner stuff and learned behavior. So prosody plays a role. Speech is special. We have the motor theory of speech perception. You can figure out the vocal tract gestures. Not so much. Your book talks about Broca's and Wernicke's aphasia, those key structures in the temporal lobe and in the frontal lobe for speech production. And then we talked about some disorders, little babies and borderline personality. They're not communicating correctly. The moms, and said the bonding doesn't go on very well because they're not using all the right prosodic, that was a tough word to say, cues. When we talk to little babies, how do we do it? Do we do it just the way I'm talking to you now? Kate, nice answer. Good job. What am I doing there? What's that? Embarrassing myself?
No, hurting myself. It's your voice is higher.
When you talk to little babies, you have a much higher frequency voice, higher pitch, simple phrases, kind of called mother-ese. How does that help little babies?
They're more likely to react to listening.
Yeah, they can kind of understand the prosodic nature of the speech, so the bonding actually forms. And I was thinking more about this with my cell phone, because now with computers, is it hard to get voice recognition systems to work pretty well on a cell phone sometimes? Yeah, you're recording a message on a cell phone. Hi, Lee. I hope you're having a good day. Is that how you say it on a cell phone? What are you doing there? You're segmenting. Are you co-articulating? No, so actually on voice machines, you could get a question on that, because when I was studying all this stuff, we didn't have cell phones at that point in time. So anyway, this is what little kids do and how we get it done. And even with vaccinations, prosody can play a role. The problem with speech perception, and we've seen it, is this idea that there's no one-to-one between the physical and the perceptual world. There's no invariance. Lieberman and Mattingly said it's the vocal tract, but we're seeing here how a D can actually have a different... Do you remember what the frequencies, what we call them in the vocal tract, where they resonate? That's given a particular name. The natural frequencies, when you say a word like da or do, they're called formants. So formants, you have natural formants, and here we're seeing that one phoneme can have many different waveforms depending on what follows it. Did we even see more evidence of that today? Yeah, your perception of the phoneme today depended on what? the lexical status of the word, and even how much error you put. Voice onset time could even influence that. You all right? So that was kind of the first lecture covering these particular issues. Let's see if there was anything else there. No, that was kind of the idea. Speech is special, Skinner versus Chomsky, foreign language. So you'll have a question probably about something with a foreign language in regards to that. Any comments or questions about lecture number 1? Okay, so that'll cover that one. Let's move to class number 2. The agenda for class number 2, we had a lot of information there, the history of reading. When we read, what are some of the basic facts we know? We look at words, but what else are we getting in? We look at those words in our phobia, what else are we getting in? At the same time when we're reading. We're getting parafovial previews, and Rayner was actually able to show that we tend to fixate shorter on high frequency words. If you can predict what that word is, you'll fixate shorter. What do we call those movements from one spot to the next? Saccades will be quicker. Did we actually do a little garden pathing last time? I bought roses for my girlfriend. Oh, it was for and from, right? I had the word from there. It was supposed to be for my girlfriend, but people mostly read it as for because you get what kind of processing going on? A lot of top-down processing. In speech, it's the way. In reading, is reading nearly as automatic as speech? No, it has to be learned. The eye's moving. You're getting this information, so you should know the paraphobia, the big 3 there. We look at things, and it's a learned behavior, and you've got to integrate this. So we went over these couple of articles. I'm not going to go over them here, but you should understand them. Dyslexia and what is the brain. Talked about that, and even autism. The electrophysiology of some of the stuff going on in the paraphobia. A lot more cognitive neuroscience there. Know those articles. If you're trying to study for the test, you don't have to study for my test nearly as much as other tests. Why is that? Yeah, other tests are based on what? Memory. What am I interested in? Critical thinking. Can you apply things? You'll be given situations, problems, issues, situations, and be asked to apply them to these various things. So that was class number 2. And then today's class, as we've been over, kind of tying a little more back to class number 1, the idea of speech being special, we have categorical perception. That you can add just a little bit to the sound of a phoneme, and it can be perceived in a categorically different way. It's either this or that. That can be influenced by the lexical status, your mental lexicon, even the words after that we talked about, the McGurk effect. You integrate visual and acoustics into forming what you recognize as speech. Maybe this makes speech special. Even little babies. Do little babies have the ability to? Yeah. Do they ask babies, what are you perceiving? You basically suck on a little nipple, and the more you habituate, you'll suck less, but then if you actually change the category on them, they'll actually start sucking a lot more. So we showed that. The canine research on lexical status. Some of this is going on now. And then finally, the brain activity going on in here as well. Any comments or questions about that information? Last thing I think I'd like to do is just go back to the book. Oops. Take my recorder with me here. Chapter 11 is our chapter here. Let's do a little highlighting there. I think we've already been over some of this. Little highlights, there you go on 471. You know, here's how it works, very reductionistic. Wernicke's area, Broca's area. You cut the two. Conduction aphasia, you can hear something, but you can't do what?
Repeat.
Say again?
You can't repeat it.
You can't repeat it. So maybe that's very type reductionistic in thinking. Here are the areas of the brain that are involved with this. So they look at that in brain deficits with Broca's and Wernicke's aphasia. So the first few pages, 474, has that conduction aphasia idea. You go into page 476, and they talk about your mental lexicon. I think I used that term in the last class. What's your lexicon? All the words up in your mind. If I say the word, if you look at the word boy versus look at the word encyclopedia, which word will you fixate on for a shorter period of time? Boy or encyclopedia?
Boy.
Boy, because it's a much higher frequency. Higher frequency words are accessed quicker in your mental lexicon. Get a little picture there on 477 on a network of things up in your brain. They do on 478, they look at brain structures and PET scans and fMRIs and so forth. If you look on 481, the idea of how you actually do all this, speech and language comprehension. We've got phonological things coming in. We've got the written word on 11.8. Lexical access, figuring out what the word is. What makes reading so much more difficult than speech? What do you have to do with reading that makes it so much more non-automatic?
It's a learned behavior.
It's a learned behavior, so you have to figure out what the letters are, then what the words are, then you have to figure out the comprehension of the sentence. We also talked, I think, about in the last class, lexical ambiguity. They went outside, it was a nice sunny day, and near the river, they sat near a bank. The word bank, you would typically think of as what? Right near a river, right? A river bank. But then if it followed that sentence with, and then they walked in, then they got money out of the bank, that would cause lower or slower fixation times, because you'd be like, wait, what happened there? That didn't match. So lexical ambiguity, word ambiguity can matter, as we've seen. Word, non-word can matter as well. And they actually talk on 481, cap and tap. The idea that the phonemes matter. We talked on 482 that the physical world of speech, is the physical world really one continuous acoustic waveform? As I'm talking to you right now, physically speaking, in a spectrograph, is it really one long acoustic waveform? It is. But yet, how are you perceiving my one long physical waveform? Can you perceive the individual words? You can do what? What is that called? You can do segmentation. So on the test, using the big shot words will matter. That's what I'm looking for. You can segment things very easily. So you can see that picture on 482. Once again, looking at brain structures is what they're doing after that. The picture on 486, that was the features, letters, and word level things. The connectionist model is certainly a part of this. On page 491, they do ERPs with giving language and then watching B300s or 100s. I think we talked the last class about when it was a word, it would be this way, or when it was a dyslexic brain, this wouldn't be processed as much as that. So you should be on guard for that kind of thing as well. Let's see, the neural model is going to 497. Yeah, your mental lexicon, the words up that are in there, showing different waves depending on what's going on in the brain. For people that have dyslexia or autism, might be part of it as well. So, I think that kind of covers the basics of things. Do you guys have any other administrative or content-based questions for me regarding Tuesday? Let's talk about the time parameter of test posting and test being there. God bless you. Usually, I open the test up in the morning. Would that be sufficient? I was up at the crack of dawn today because I was running my asthma meeting at 8 o'clock here on a telephone. So usually it'd be okay if it's posted by 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. People feel like 8 to 8 would be reasonable for things. If you need an extension, let me know. Just save the work that you're doing, submit the Word file. There'll probably be 5 questions asking you about various things. It'll give you information, and what am I really looking for here? Higher level critical thinking skills. Can you get partial credit for things? Yeah, but I'm looking for you. I might give you an experiment and say, how does this relate back to what we learned in class? Oh, this is related to the McGurk effect because of X, Y, and Z. Or no, this wouldn't match the McGurk effect because of A, B, and C. So you can still get partial credit even if you answer it wrong. But it's the thought process that really matters to me. Grammar is, of course, good. Do a Word file and then post it and have that done by Tuesday. And then when we meet on Thursday, I'll have the results and I'll have my rubric for grading things. Any other comments from you folks? Okay, that'll do it for the day. Have a good day.